Just a few miles south of Atlanta, Georgia, and only a few hundred yards off of the Peach Blossom Trail at Atlanta International Raceway. We're here for the Kraco Atlanta 200, the first race of Championship Auto Race Team's 1983 season. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and normally the first race of the season is held in Phoenix, but the rains over the winter in the southwest United States have washed out the roads that lead into Phoenix, so the first race is being held here at Atlanta. Here with us, too, is three-time Indianapolis 500-mile race winner Bobby Unser. And, you know, over the winter, they tried to slow the cars down by changing the rules. Now, last year, Bobby, the first 5 cars were over 200 miles an hour. But here today, the first 8 cars are over 200, and 2 fellas are over last year's track record. What happened?
That comes from a lot of development, Paul, and it always happens. Whenever they make rules to slow the cars down, the guys just start developing harder and working harder. For example, Penske's cars have run over 6,000 test miles this winter. Patrick has probably run a good 4,000 miles in his cars, and they just are a little bit faster than they were last year.
The front row, Rick Mears and Johnny Rutherford, are both over last year's track record. And both those gentlemen are right now with our Gary Gerald. Gary?
Paul, indeed, familiar faces here in the front row. 5 times a winner here at Atlanta, Rick Mears, the defending champion. 3 times a winner, Johnny Rutherford, the only other man ever to win at this racetrack, Mario Andretti, and that was back in 1966. You broke the record yesterday, and I wonder if you scared yourself in the process, because they were spectacular laps, Rick.
Well, I definitely did scare myself, but luckily the Pennzoil PC11 was forgiving enough to keep me on the track, and it paid off. It went very well.
This fellow that starts next to you is going awful quick. Rutherford is back in 83.
Yeah, he sure is. He is running tough, and I think he's really got a good race set up and prepared well, so I think it's going to be a good race. There's a lot of guys running close and running tight, and I think we're in for an interesting race today.
To say the least. John, he has won this race the last 4 times. You've won it 3 times in the past. What are your chances this afternoon?
Well, I hope they're very good. We had an opportunity to break the record as well yesterday, and my new car, the Sea Ray Wildcat of Pat Patrick's, is doing a super job for a brand new race car. The first time we've ever had it on the racetrack in competition. So I'm looking forward to the race. It gives us a chance to find out what the car will do, and a chance to see if I'm still up to going around for 200 miles.
I don't think anybody expected the speeds we've seen. They have been spectacular indeed. A couple of veteran, familiar faces in the front row, but there are other new faces that challenge in this race. Bruce Jenner has that story.
Thank you, Gary. And these are rookies on the Indycar circuit, but not to the world of motor racing. First, driving car number 17, a very familiar name, but a new face. Al Unser Jr., 21 years old, from Phoenix, Arizona, former Super V and Can-Am champion. Driving car 12, John Paul Jr., also comes from a race car driving family. He'll be tough on the IndyCar circuit when they go to road courses, because he's a former IMSA champion, driving a Penske PC10. Driving car number 41, Doug Heverin, 21 years old, from Brewerton, New York. 59 feature wins and 4 International Super Modified Association wins. Driving car number 34, Derek Daly, 30 years old, from England. He was teammate to K.K. Rosberg last year on the Williams team when K.K. won the World Championship. 1976 British Formula 4 champion, 1977 British Formula 3 champion. Car 33, Teo Fabi, 27 years old, from Milan, Italy, a former downhill ski racer. Started off in go-karts and moved all the way up to Can-Am in 1981 and Formula 1 in 1982. They're all champions in their own field, but now they start all over again as rookies on the IndyCar circuit. But they're not the only ones facing new situations this year. A lot happened this winter as a lot of the old faces in this sport came up with new sponsors and new cars.
Last year, the team to beat in kart racing belonged to Roger Penske. And most of the records and most of the races belong to this man, the defending national champion, Rick Mears. His teammate, Kevin Cogan, also had an excellent season. But now the winter has passed, and things have changed. Cogan has driven off to another team, and Rick Mears is wearing new colors. The Pennzoil sponsorship has moved to his car, and both of the Penske cars are now bright yellow. And Al Unser has moved up to join Rick Mears on the Roger Penske team. Cars 1 and 7. But Kevin Cogan was able to find work with the winningest chief mechanic in history, George Vignotti. He goes back to wearing his old Formula Atlantic helmet and teams up with Tom Sneva. The combination should prove for victories for both of them. At the the end of the season, Jim Hall closed down the Chaparral Racing team, leaving Johnny Rutherford without a ride. But after shopping around, he found the number 40 car, the machine belonging to Pat Patrick. And Johnny Rutherford was back into the fight. He now joins Gordon Johncock. And with Pat Patrick's team, it should look good for both of these men. Rutherford's 40 car used to belong to this man, Mario Andretti. Last year, he was with Pat Patrick. But now a new team has been formed. The car is a new Lola, the driver Mario Andretti, and this should be a wonderful effort as well. This team is owned by driver-actor Paul Newman, and he's backed up by Carl Haas, who has had successes with his Lola for years. So there are some marvelous teams and drivers ready for the start of this 1983 kart season. And on one of the cars, this view over the right-hand shoulder of Johnny Rutherford, our live onboard camera. Now for that famous command, here's Larry Cranes, the president of the sponsor of this race, Kraco Enterprises.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Challenge is ready. Now 22 cars have started their engines and they're ready for this 200 miles. An important moment for the drivers, Bobby.
That's right. The guys in the front are probably thinking about what each one of them is going to do, what the other guy's going to do, and the guys in the back probably got more butterflies than you could count.
There's Johnny Rutherford on the outside of the front row, and we are ready for 200 miles on this high bank race course at Atlanta International Raceway. Gordon Johncock won 2 500-mile races last year, but could not complete a victory in the Triple Crown Series. There is the front row. They are poised and ready to go, as all of the crews now indicating that their engines are fired and ready to move out. They wait only for the signal from the pace car. The men with their hands in the air saying that they are ready to go. The engines are fired. Gordon Johncock is ready. Johnny Rutherford is ready. The pole sitter, Rick Mears, is ready. We are ready here at NBC Sports World. Mario Andretti, he is in his backup car because during the practice, he crashed his primary car, so there's a question mark there. There's that new Penske PC11, and Tom Sneeva sits prepared to go. 200 miles, 132 laps in front of these drivers. The first race of the season. There is a lot of tension here. A number of unknown quantities. Everyone trying to figure out the new rules and trying to decide who is going to be the fastest, who will win this race, and who will be the national champion at the end of the season that lies ahead. Al Unser, his new colors, car number 7. He's ready for what he hopes to be a winning season as well. And there again, the view over Johnny Rutherford's shoulder. You can see the flashing lights on the pace car just ahead. The view is from the outside of the front row. You can see his manifold pressure gauge there. It will be a marvelous view. Mario Andretti is straight ahead as they begin to pull away now. And the field begins to move away for the start of the Kraco Atlanta 200. We'll be back coming up shortly with the lineup and with the pace laps for this race right after this. We are back at Atlanta International Raceway. This is Paul Page with Bobby Unser, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. And we're ready for the start of the 200-mile race here on these high banks. The field is out and moving. 22 cars. Let's look at them. Despite the fact that the Penske PC11s are having teething problems, Rick Mears was able to shatter his own track record here in Atlanta and set his car on the pole. Alongside Rick, Johnny Rutherford, a new ride for him, a Wildcat. He also broke last year's track record.
And right behind him is Gordon Johncock, very fast person and a teammate to JR in one of the cars that I tested all winter. And alongside him is the winner of last year's last race at Phoenix, Tom Sneeva, and the fast of the March cars.
Looking back into the third row, the teammate to Rick Mears, Al Unser Sr. He has not won a race in over 34 tries. He is very hungry here today. He's equipped to win. Alongside Al, the former world driving champion, Mario Andretti. It's a new team. He also has gone over 20 races without a victory.
Then we have Mike Mosley, Paul, looking for his first win in over a year in another March car, and very, very fast. Then we have Bobby Rahal alongside, who won, incidentally, his first 2 kart races last year.
Looking to the 5th row now, on the inside, from Formula One and from Formula Ford and go-karting background, Teo Fabi. It's a March car. He's expected to do well here. Alongside Teo is Kevin Cogan. He has switched from the Penske team and is now driving a March for the winningest chief mechanic, George Bignotti. And the field is out and moving as we look over the right-hand shoulder of Johnny Rutherford. Our experimental camera is still under development, but a good picture today. As we take a look at what Johnny Rutherford sees, let's look at the rest of the field. Now, there are 9 drivers in this field that have never taken the green flag at Atlanta International Raceway.
We also have one totally non-ground effects car, Jim McElreath from Arlington, Texas, doing pretty good, Paul.
And Roger Mears has decided that he is going to use his primary car. That is not the car that he qualified, and as a result, he has been moved to the last position in the field. And now the pole sitter, Rick Mears, is ready. Alongside is Johnny Rutherford. Rutherford, Mears the front row, Johncock, Sneva the second row, Unser, Andretti in the 3rd row. They come off the 4th turn. The green flag is in the hands of the starter. We look for the green. The green flag is waved, and we are racing at the Atlanta 200 as Rick Mears pulls out in front. Rutherford drops in 2nd place, Sneva in 3rd, and Johncock drops back into 4th.
Well, it looks like Rick is really hungry today. I knew that it was going to be tough between him and Johnny, but look at Johnny move up on him. He's gonna work at Rick over pretty hard, I think.
Johnny Rutherford closes down a little lower line as he comes behind Rick Mears. Tom Sneva back about 100 yards. Gordon Johncock way low on the race course as they complete lap number 1. Mears out in front. Rutherford 2nd. Tom Sneva 3rd. Johncock in 4th.
It's going to be a very tiring race. If they keep a pace up like this all day, Paul, I guarantee there's going to be a lot of tired drivers. The pace is going to be very fast.
Well, it was a very safe start, and Bobby, I have to admit, we were a little concerned about that. All of those rookies in that field, a new time on this course, but it looks like they did a nice job.
I honestly feel because it's the first race of the season, I had a good feel for it. I think that everybody was just trying to be a little bit careful. Not too careful, but just careful.
Johnny Rutherford on the low line as he pursues the leader, Rick Mears, right now. There's the interval, 1st and 2nd place. Now, the 1st car is a PC-11, the 2nd car a Wildcat. There are other cars in this field, most particularly that 3rd place car of Tom Sneva. It is a March, and there have been some questions with the rear suspension on the March.
Well, they've been breaking the rear suspension all winter in the test, and they could very well still have some problems with it here. And the problem is where the shock comes over on the bottom of the rear of the car, goes up and down, it tends to start binding after it gets a lot of heat and a little dirt in it. Then it starts breaking.
Mario Andretti is sitting back in 5th place, Johncock 4th, Sneva 3rd, and this battle between our leaders, Rick Mears, the defending national champion, out in front as he is being chased by Johnny Rutherford. And Rutherford seems to have the handling on him coming into the turns, but then Mears has the engine on the straightaway.
Well, no doubt that they all have their boost turned down a little bit. Now, Rick might have his still up right at the moment, but right about now they start turning the boost down to conserve fuel, and they still run hard, but they just have a little bit less power than normal.
There's the battle. There is the battle for 1st place. This is the battle for 1st place. And Rick Mears is out in front now. We're looking at Al Unser. He is back in 6th place right now, and he is doing battle with Mike Mosley. There's Mosley coming up behind him. And no, that's Pancho Carter. Excuse me, they have switched now. We have Al Unser in 6th, Mosley in front, and Pancho Carter right behind. So we have the Penske car and the 2 Marches on either side. That's 5th, 6th, and 7th. And there is Bobby Rahal that begins to move in the fight, come up to challenge Pancho Carter. Battle back in the field. Carter has the control on the turns. Bobby Rahal was having problems in the practice getting the back end of the car under control.
You must remember now, this is Rahal's first race here. He's a very, very good race driver. He showed that last year by winning 2 of the races. But Paul is not going to be experienced on this type of track. He really came out of the road racing ranks.
A tremendous battle back in the pack. It is still tight at the front as well. We are watching Mike Mosley. And as we come back to the leaders, here is Rick Mears coming around slower traffic now already early in the race. Johnny Rutherford is right behind him.
Well, Johnny's just still sitting looking. Rick, of course, is he's going to be the rabbit today. He's going to be the hard one to chase. But if you look at the first 4 cars, you got Rutherford, you got Mears, Rutherford, Tom Sneva and Johncock. Another thing that's important to notice, Johncock is not going to let Sneva get away with too much. They're about the two hardest arch rivals I've ever seen.
And there is that handsome young Californian from Bakersfield, Rick Mears. He's the man that's out in front right now. And if there was a problem with the handling on his car in the practice, we were all concerned about it. It doesn't seem to be there now. It's really running pretty smooth.
Well, it was kind of apparent yesterday that they must have gotten the car dialed at least to a perfect condition before he qualified. We saw that he had problems early in the day, but he certainly got it better.
So Rick Mears is out in front. Johnny Rutherford in second. Tom Sneva continues in third. We'll be back with more of the Atlanta 200 right after this. We've got problems at the Atlanta International Raceway. Car up against the wall. It's Bobby Rahal. We mentioned earlier that he had a problem, and that second car spinning, Derek Daly. So two cars spinning right together, and we mentioned that Bobby Rahal was having trouble. Maybe Daly just got into whatever caused Bobby Rahal's problem.
I didn't even see it, Paul, but obviously two of them are in problems, and it looks like Bobby Rahal is lost
out
the
of the
wheel.
car. He's all right. Well, he may not be all right. He's lying down. He cut the right front off the car very quickly. Bobby Rahal, who won 2 races last year at Cleveland and Michigan International. There's Dr. Steve Albee. He's the race physician, and he's right there.
Doesn't appear that he's hurt very bad. He probably just got the wind knocked out of him very hard. You know, the speeds here are very fast, and the wall's very hard if you do happen to hit it.
You pop it up against the wall at 200+ miles an hour, which is what they've all been running, and believe me, it smarts. It looked like the damage was to the right front car of the car. Now, here is the way it looked as Rahal took it up against the wall.
Yes, of course, we can't tell why he got up there in the beginning, but, you know, this is an awfully fast track, and things break and go so fast, sometimes you don't know whether the car broke, a tire went flat, or a guy just made a mistake. But I'll tell you, Paul, it's not very often that I've ever seen Bobby Rahal make mistakes, so I happen to think I'm going to blame it on the car momentarily.
And then it was right after this, we saw him come by, that Derek Daly got loose, so I think he was just dodging to miss Rahal, but this was the end result of that dodge.
Of course, he came out of it pretty good. Derek Daly, for whatever it is, was very lucky.
Derek Daly, a Formula One driver. You can see the back end came loose. He corrected. Boy, terrific job of keeping it away from the wall.
Yes, it was. But you can also see there's something wrong with the right rear on his car, so I have a hunch whatever happened to Bobby Rahal, that we have to assume that Derek Daly might have had the same problem. Maybe there was some debris on the racetrack, and he had a flat tire.
Handsome young man from Ireland. He was Keke Rosberg's teammate on the Williams team in Formula One last year. There he is walking back, so apparently the report is good on Derek Daly. He is going to walk back to the pits, and we'll wait for a report on the condition of Bobby Rahal, who was the first car in this spin at Atlanta International Raceway. So we're under yellow, and we'll be back with more of the Atlanta 200 as NBC Sports World continues. This is Paul Page. We're back at the Atlanta 200 where Mario Andretti is in for a pit stop under the yellow flag. Bruce Jenner is right there. Bruce?
He just pulled out of the pits 1 minute ago, and all he took on is some fuel and some tires. But just a few minutes ago, before the race started, I talked to him. And I was talking to him. They said that last night they were dissatisfied with the car after qualifying. So they immediately changed everything on the car. And as Mario said, it's a different car. For the first 10 laps of the race, he was backing off on the pace. So it's unknown right now how that car is going to handle for this 200-mile race. Let's go over to Gary Jarrell right now.
Bruce, we're here with Bobby Rahal and Derek Daly, who were involved in that problem in turn 2. Bobby, can you tell us how it set up and what you saw or what happened?
Well, I was just taking my normal line, and something broke in the front of the car. Either a wheel fell off, or I don't think a wheel fell off, actually. I think a suspension part broke, and the car went just straight right into the wall. I was just a passenger, and I'm thankful I'm here because it hit hard, and then I guess I lost both my wheels on the right side, and one came down and hit Derek's car when he was trying to avoid me.
Derek, I understand you're all right. It was a case of debris that you got into then?
Yes, it was. I was a little unsighted because I was very close behind Kevin Cogan. He took avoiding action, and as he moved, I just saw Bobby's rear wheel come down on top of my car. I just tore the suspension straight off it, and then my car just began to spin.
Well, fortunately, you're both all right. I know it's a tough introduction to the high banks. This is your first time to run Atlanta, Derek. It's only your second IndyCar race. You're still smiling. Does that mean we're going to see more of you, I hope, in the future?
Well, the first race at Phoenix was 1.5 laps. This was about 5 laps. Indy is the big one.
All right, Bobby, I know it's things are going to get better before this season's over.
Well, I'm just and I hate wrecking a good car, and I'm sure after this it can only go up, I guess, can it?
All right, Bobby, Ray Hall, Derek Daly, both all right. Let's go back up to you, Paul.
Thank you, Gary. A terrible disappointment to get credited with the first accident of the season, but thankfully Bobby Ray Hall and Derek Daly are both all right as Rick Mears, the leader of the race, comes into the pits. We will be back with more from the Atlanta 200 as NBC Sports World continues. We're back at the Atlanta 200, 24 laps complete, and Rick Mears is still our leader. He has not yet made a pit stop. The first 6 cars have all stayed out on this lengthy yellow that we have had as a result of the accident involving Derek Daly and Bobby Ray Hall. Both drivers are not injured as a result. Slow behind the pace car now onto the backstretch, but they should be picking the speed up shortly as they come to green.
Well, what'll happen is Rick will lay back right now, Paul, and he'll want to take a flying start because Tom Sneva's right behind him, and Tom's tough on these starts. Now, you notice Rick is laying back, letting the pace car get away, and just a little bit, you'll see Rick take off like a rocket ship. Sneva will be right behind him.
So there is your lineup. Rick Mears leads Tom Sneva, Pancho Carter, Dale Fabi is in 4th, Kevin Hogan is in 5th place, Peter Hallsmer is in 6th. None of those cars have yet stopped for fuel as Rick Mears begins to pick the pace up. And Pancho Carter closes up right behind Johnny Rutherford and Gordon Johncock have both stopped, and they are 9th and 10th place. They're back in the field as Rick Mears comes across the line, being chased by Tom Sneva.
Sneva's right on his bumper. The start went just exactly the way I figured. Sneva's tough, but Rick is going to pull away a little bit, it looks like. And the real race is going to be back with Johncock, Rutherford, that group. Rutherford is something wrong. He's falling back fast, Paul. I don't know what's the matter, but the car's losing speed drastically.
Well, Rick Mears is out in front right now. Tom Sneva is in 2nd place. Rick Mears has led since the start of this race. Tom Sneva was able to move up when other cars involved in the leader serial, most specifically Johnny Rutherford and Gordon Johncock, pitted for fuel during the yellow flag. The strategy now is that of Roger Penske. Will he bring his cars in for fuel under the green flag? That's what he faces at the moment.
Well, he could be. What Roger did is he split his team. He brought Al in and left Rick out, so that means he has 2 ways to go, 2 options.
Here is Teo Fabi and Pancho Carter. They are battling right now for 3rd place. Fabi in his rookie season in championship racing, and right behind him Pancho Carter, the winner of the inaugural Michigan 500, a veteran. But Fabi is giving him a good fight right now.
Gordon Johncock is moving up very nice. Remember, Gordon made a pit stop, and he's starting to move up. There's Teo and Pancho. There's a rookie versus one of the hardest high-bank drivers I've ever seen. It's going to be a good contest.
And you can see coming into view there Gordon Johncock as he begins his fight back up through the field. Now remember, he is running on a full tank of fuel as opposed to our leader Rick Mears, who is not yet refueled. So Johncock is running a little bit heavy right now.
Well, he is, but believe me, they made a good decision what they did with Johncock. They did somewhat like they did with Al. They brought him in early. Now he's got a full tank of fuel and he go a long ways.
So Roger Penske has made a good decision, too. He has left 1 car out in front. That's the number 1 car of Rick Mears, while at the same time, the identical car, the teammate car of Al Unser, has gone in and refueled as Johncock just screams under Fabi and goes down the main stretch and moves into 3rd place.
Johncock has 2 gears in the car, Paul. One is a racing gear and one is kind of a cruising gear. Plus, I think he's turned his boost up right now because he's really gaining ground.
Gordon Johncock, there you see him. Last year's Indianapolis 500-mile race winner. He is out and trying to charge now for the lead. He has moved up 4 places and is in 3rd place and now is beginning to set sights on Tom Sneva.
He's running in good clean air. Obviously, Rick is way out in the lead. Tom Sneva is not too far behind, but right now, Gordon Johncock has to be in 3rd place with a full tank of fuel. Both the cars out in front.
And there is Rick Mears as he is being chased by Tom Sneva. The white car on the right, just coming low under a slower car, is Tom Sneva, and Mears has pulled out quite an interval.
Well, it's really not that far because, believe it or not, Tom is still getting some draft off of Rick. At 200 miles an hour, you get a draft a long ways back. It's not a real big one, but it's getting it.
When you talk about a draft, it's an area of vacuum behind Rick Mears' car, and it really extends that far back.
It really extends that far back. Although Rick is not too far, if he could just get about another 20 car lengths, he'd break the draft.
So the question now that will face the Penske team is, do they bring this car in and stop under the green? That's what they face at the moment, as Rick Mears has led from the green flag. He continues to be our leader. Tom Sneva is in 2nd. Gordon Johncock has moved up to 3rd. We'll be back right after this message.
right, Paul Page, Bill McAtee, and Mike Adamley.
We are back at Atlanta International, the Atlanta 200. Gordon Johncock on his way into the pits. We are live. But Johncock has a problem. Johncock just moments ago with this problem as he was coming in for his pit stop, running in the lead at the time, lost control under braking and spun it around.
Paul, I've never really seen this happen like this before. I've seen a lot of strange things happen in the pits, but Gordy just lost it right in the pits.
Let's go down to the pits because another driver is out of this race, Johnny Rutherford. He's with Bruce Jenner.
Johnny, how terribly disappointing. You came here on a brand new team, a brand new car. You qualified so well, right up there with a new one-lap record around this track. You get out there, you had the lead, but then the engine let go.
Yeah, Bruce, that's, you know, what can I say? That's racing. Those things happen and all of the other cliches, but it's gratifying to be able to lead a race with a brand new team, with a brand new car the first time out. So I think we're going to have some good things this season for the new sponsors, Sea Ray Boats, and everything's coming along good, and that's what it's all about. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Well, we're looking forward to watching it, too. But right now, Rick Mears has some problems. Let's go up to Paul Page.
Rick Mears was in for a routine stop, and then as he pulled away, the car stalled. They're trying to restart it down in his pit. Fortunately, he's all the way down toward the first turn. Fire at the back of the car, Bobby.
Well, that's not really fire. That's just the engine getting run again, Paul. Really, what happened is like he had a vapor lock. The car just went down the road and just quit on him. I don't really think he's got a mechanical problem.
So there have been some changes here in the leader board because Rick Mears had taken the lead away from Johncock. Now we go down to Gary Gerald.
And Paul, everything is happening at once, it seems. Both of the Big Naughty cars have just gone behind the wall prior to Johncock's problems here in the pits. I'm with Tom Sneva. Tom, what was your problem?
Well, it looks like we got something into one of the radiators and punctured a hole in it, leaked the water out, the thing got hot and hurt the motor.
This has really got to be frustrating, particularly now when you're right in the hunt. Mears has a problem, Johncock has a problem. You should be leading this event.
Well, you know, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But the thing was running well. We were just cruising along, you know, and waiting to see what was going to happen. The car felt good, and we were just trying to get to the end of the race. And then, you know, we figured we were going to be right there with the Texaco Star.
Got to be encouraging, despite the fact you haven't had, I guess, no testing at all during the winter, and yet you came out here and you raced competitively today.
We did. The Texaco Star was right there, and the guys did a good job of preparing it. We must have picked up some debris from one of the crashes or something, and that's part of the game.
All right, Tom Sneva, Kevin Cogan, both the Big Naughty cars out of the race, Paul.
Well, the bad luck for those drivers have become the good luck for this man, Mike Mosley, car number 18. And he is in the lead right now, Bobby. He's never finished in the top 10 here, and he is in a march. They are currently showing Peter Halsper in second, and the young rookie from Endurance Racing, John Paul Jr., has moved up to third.
That's good, especially after crashing a car. I'm glad to see John Paul up that high, and I hope he has a good finish. But Mike Mosley is very capable of winning this race. You know, he's a long-time good, hard race driver.
And, of course, you're referring to John Paul's crash in the practice earlier in the week, and he had to come to the backup car. Here is Rick Mears back in the pits once again. So, Bobby, it's apparently more serious than we thought. Let's go back down to Bruce Jenner.
Right now, Rick just came back into the pits. They're looking over the car, and they're taking the right side of the car off right now. The cowling on the right side of the car, and they've shut it down. So that's not a good sign for Rick Mears right now. As he's sitting in here, they're taking the whole top of the car off the track, off the car. Rick is waving right now. He's trying to figure out. I think he wants a little bit of water. He's probably just as hot as this car is right now. I don't see any excessive smoke coming out of there, but they definitely, it looks like maybe an injection problem because Rick is working the throttle a little bit as he sits here. But not a good day for Rick Mears. His car was running real strong.
Bobby, your analysis. What do you think?
Well, what has happened is Rick's waving because the alcohol fumes are getting to him. The alcohol really burns your eyes and your nose awfully bad, but they very definitely have something that's burning up, and it's on the right-hand side in the back there. And it's a little hard to tell what it is, but I reckon he maybe have a fuel line burning too or something like that from the exhaust.
So Rick Mears, the Penske PC-11, a car that everyone thought would be the one to beat, obviously having problems here in the first race, but they're putting it back together, and apparently they're going to send him out. Maybe they found what the problem was.
I have never seen so many problems with so many cars at one time as I have here today. It just seems like everything happened at once. There's too numerous to even talk about.
Of course, that's what the first race of the season is all about. There's always a lot of sorting, always a lot of question marks.
Well, it looks like Rick is going to go back out again, so I don't think we're going to see him leading the race, but I think we're going to see Rick passing an awful lot of cars pretty quick, Paul.
Rick Mears there in the pits under yellow, but the yellow flag about to disappear and the green light ready to wink on. Mike Mosley will be our leader as the pace car. There goes Rick Mears back out, and the pace car beginning to pick up speed and head down. Mike Mosley behind a slower car, but Mosley is the leader of the race. Andretti out in front. Mike Mosley is the leader as he comes across the line. The green flag flies, and Mike Mosley being chased by Peter Halsmer and Gordon Johncock, despite that spin in the pits, is still in the race and in third place.
Well, he still has a chance of winning the race. In fact, right now, if you have to look at things, Paul, it has to be Mike Mosley and Gordon Johncock. Pete Halsmer, normally speaking, doesn't have enough experience to win the race, although Pete has been clean and fairly fast all day.
And Rick Mears is stalled again coming out of his pit. So here's Mike Mosley, the leader. There's Rick Mears as they're trying to get him back. It seems to be terminal there, Bobby.
Well, anytime it seems to go so far and just quit. So the car's either stubborn or they have a fabulous mechanical problem. I don't know which one you want to call it.
Here's Mike Mosley as he is coming up behind Mario Andretti. Andretti currently running in 5th place, and Mosley goes around. Can he hold it? He does. Mosley just rockets away from Andretti, and Mosley has now put Mario Andretti one lap down, so there are 4 cars on the leader lap. Mosley, Halsmer, Johncock, and John Paul Jr.
The race is going to end up being, right now the way it looks, between Mike Mosley and Gordon Johncock. Gordon's moving up, and of course Mosley right now is pulling away a little bit, but Gordon's moving away from the other cars. He just got through passing my brother Al. So I think we're still going to see a good race pretty quick.
Bobby, this race course, the little over mile-and-a-half course at Atlanta, is very rough on the cars. I think that's part of what we're seeing.
Well, what you can't see in the camera, unfortunately, is how rough it really is in the corners, because they're running through the turns around 200 miles an hour, and the straightaway speed and the lap speed are normally about the same here, so it makes it very, very hard on the cars, Paul.
Mike Mosley, who in the practice was having problems with all of the turns here, seems much smoother right now as he heads down the backstretch.
Well, Mike is very quick. Like I say, he's a very, very hard race driver, and he's very quick.
Here is Gordon Johncock as he comes up alongside Mario Andretti to lap him as well. Johncock currently in 3rd place. Andretti is now being scored down 2 laps in 5th place. So the new Lola is still not perfected, but of course very short development.
Well, it shouldn't be as quick as Mario qualified. Mario carried the car during qualification. The car's not been this quick since he got here. It's been pretty good on a smooth track, and they're testing like in Indianapolis. The cars look fairly fast, but it's just not going to be good on these rough tracks until it has a little bit more development time behind it.
Well, it hasn't been a routine day for the Penske team. Rick Mears still sitting in the pits, and with Bruce Jenner right now is Roger Penske.
Roger, you run into a lot of problems on it. Looks like it's a throttle problem.
Well, Bruce, evidently we came in for the routine pit stop for 3 tires and fuel. The car's running fine, and going out of the pits, it started to not take the fuel. We don't know whether it's something in a fuel line. It maybe is making the car miss, or we have electrical problems. So what we're doing is changing the spark box, which these things have a tendency to have a problem from time to time. So we'll see if that's it.
All right, well, they're putting the top on. Hopefully be back out in the race to solve that problem. Good luck to you.
It's certainly not very often that you see Roger Penske so calm when he is having this much trouble. But, of course, these cars are very developmental. There is Mike Mosley, car number 18. The sponsor is Kraco, the same sponsor of this race. And Mike Mosley is out and leading. Johncock has managed to move up to 2nd, and Peter Halsmer is now in 3rd. John Paul Jr. doing a marvelous job in 4th. We'll be back with more of the Atlanta 200 right after this. This is Paul Page with Bobby Unser, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. Mike Mosley is our leader. Gordon Johncock is currently in 2nd place, but he is closing ever so slowly on Mike Mosley. You can see the interval as Mosley comes through the screen just 3 seconds back. There is the 2nd place car of Gordon Johncock.
Well, it's going to be a good race, but right now they're a little bit far apart. I think what we're going to see is that we're going to have a couple of rookies, at least rookies at this track, that are going to have a good chance of looking good today, and that's Pete Halsmer and John Paul Jr.
Well, Mike Mosley has never finished in the top 10 in his 2 finishes at Atlanta International as he just came around Howdy Holmes, and right behind him you see the bright number 1 of Rick Mears, who is well down and out of the fight as a result of his lengthy stops, but they got him out and got Rick back running at speed. Gordon Johncock is in 3rd place right now. Let's go down to the Johncock pits where Gary Gerald is stationed.
We're here with Jim McGee, the team manager for Pat Patrick's team, and Gordon Johncock. Gordy had that problem in the pits. Jim, was there any indication of what caused that? Did he just come in too hot?
Well, he got a couple of wheels on the asphalt and a couple on the cement, and it just kind of caught him by surprise, and he kind of spun, really.
I think it caught everybody by surprise down here. Obviously, it's worked out well. You had that big lead, and it appears that you may still have an opportunity to win this race.
Yeah, the car's running real well, and Gordy's really capable of doing it.
All right, that's the word from Jim McGee right now. They're cautiously confident, Paul.
Jim McGee, the team manager for that Patrick team, the team manager for this car, number 20, Gordon Johncock, winner of 2 500-mile races last year, but he was not able to complete the Triple Crown by not winning at Pocono. But Johncock currently is in second place. He is chasing Mike Mosley.
He's only a second behind right now, Paul. He's really closed the gap on Mike, so I think we're going to see a race pretty soon.
Well, Rick Mears, as a result of the problems he faced with the engine and his lengthy and several pit stops, is now 10 laps down behind the leader.
Well, that happens sometimes, and it also gives a little bit of credibility to Roger Penske, who keeps the car in, even though he's no chance of winning the race right now.
Of course, everyone is interested in learning as much as they can at this first race of the season, so even if they don't have a chance of winning, they want to get the car back out.
Well, for example, when the engines come apart after the race, it's better that it comes apart with some miles so you can see what it's going to look like, because remember, Indianapolis is the next race.
Well, this is where Gordon Johncock performs best, in second place with a challenge ahead of him. The challenge is the number 18 car of Mike Mosley, about 3 seconds. Now he's closed the gap now as he comes up on just 2.2 seconds. Let's look at the interval again and see how it changes. Of course, it changes in traffic. Gordon Johncock, 2.6 seconds back.
Well, of course, this is too far from the end. Long ways to go yet, and things could change. But I think that Gordon is probably, considering he's the last of the Patrick entries in the race, I think he's going to play a little bit safe. I think Mike Mosley's probably trying pretty hard. Michael always drives hard, and I think that's what he's doing right now.
So Gordon Johncock chasing Mike Mosley. Mosley in a March, and the March cars have been having problem, this 83 model, with a problem in the rear suspension. What is that?
Well, it's the rear shock. They have what we call a pull rod suspension, and as the rear shock, the bottom goes up and down on the shock instead of the top working down. And it rolls up and down in a bearing-like device between 2 rails. And very often that locks up, and this causes troubles when it does lock up because something breaks.
And Mike Mosley, while he's out in front, there is that handsome young Californian. A wonderful guy, very quiet guy, easygoing, but an excellent racer.
Mike has always been a good racer. He's always one of the nicest people that you could ever meet. He just deserved to win more races. He's had a lot of hard races in his racing career. A lot of disappointments, a lot of wrecks that weren't his fault, cars breaking, things like that.
Mike, in his early days, seemed to be one to avoid all the spectacle of racing. He was a real purist. He just wanted to drive. He didn't care about the interviews or all the accolades or anything. He just wanted to race.
He doesn't care about anything except the racing in itself, and that has a lot to say about Mike. He's just an extremely quiet and nice person.
Now, Gordon Johncock in second place, and we should say we have been noting the interval, but official scoring is telling us that Gordon Johncock is actually down a full lap behind Mosley, so he has a lap plus about 3 seconds according to the official scoring report.
Okay, that comes about because of that spin of Gordy's in here. I suspected that, and scoring is also showing that, so that's just, you know, to both he lost the pressure and he spun the pits.
Let's find out what they're doing down in Mike Mosley's pits as we go to Bruce Jenner.
Well, there's an awful lot of excitement down here. Just a few minutes, we saw Larry, a few minutes ago, we saw Larry say, gentlemen, start your engines. And I think your engine got started then because, boy, you're awfully excited. The Kraco car's doing very well.
Right now, the Kraco gang are real proud of Mike Mosley. We hope it lasts another 33 laps, Bruce.
All right, well, hopefully you're in there at the end. Good luck to you.
See you later.
Paul?
Thank you, Bruce. Of course, Bobby Unser, one of the questions will be the strategy now in the pit stops.
Well, the strategy right now is going to be one more pit stop, and it should be both of them, and I bet you that neither one of them make any mistakes coming in. I'll bet you it ends up being a very close finish.
So both cars expected to stop before the end of this 200 miles on the high bank here at Atlanta International. But Mike Mosley, as he comes up behind Howdy Holmes, who is well down and out of the fight, comes by. Look at that motor. It's just terrific power. They've really got the car working.
They do, and of course, now you must remember, Mike got the first new 83 March that came out of the factory. This was really the test car that came through, and they've had a lot of time working on it clear back to last November.
So Mike Mosley is out in front of the race. He is a full lap out in front of Gordon Johncock. And Mosley has never finished in the top 10 here. So we'll be back with more of the Atlanta 200 right after this. We are back at the Atlanta 200 where Mike Mosley continues to lead. A pit stop expected between now and the end of the race for both Mosley and the second place car, Gordon Johncock. But Mosley has a full lap lead over Johncock. There is Mosley as he continues to scream around this course, coming around Roger Mears, who started in last position in the race, but is still out on the course. But Mosley has a pit stop due, but still he could make that stop and stay in front of Johncock.
Well, he can do it. You see, what he's got to do right now is just make sure that Johncock doesn't get ahead of him, because one yellow flag lap or one yellow flag situation would bring Johncock all the way back around to him.
Now, as we come to the end of the day, Bobby Unser, the shadows are becoming a factor. Long shadows over the third and fourth turn. Bruce Jenner has a fuller report.
Paul, there is definitely shadows in turn 3 and 4, and as it gets farther in the race, Johnny Rutherford said that fatigue is going to be a major
Mosley slowing down.
Yeah, let's go.
Mike Mosley, the leader. Excuse me, Bruce. But Mike Mosley slowed down and is heading for the pits. We're under the green flag. Mike Mosley. Now remember, Gordon Johncock, one lap back. We'll keep an eye on the straightaway for Johncock. He's come by once now. Johncock, while Mosley rolls in, his crew is ready. Let's watch this stop. Mike Mosley comes to a stop.
Very much of a standard pit stop. They're not doing anything to the car, and they're doing adjustment to the front wing and fuel, and that's all they're doing. It means
Johncock is in the third turn.
it means that Mike is in good shape. It means it must be nothing.
Johncock coming around the fourth turn. Mosley is still up on the jacks. He comes down. He's ready to roll. Johncock goes into the lead. Mike Mosley still in the car. It has no longer routine, I would say, Bobby. It's gone a long time.
There's something wrong. They're looking under the back end. That suspension is back into the back end, and I'll bet you that's what they're looking at, Paul.
You can see Johncock, the leader, below, Mosley above. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, a crew frustration showing on all sides now as they begin to peel off the gloves. I think they realize that the afternoon is over. Crew and half of them checking down there, possibly around the gearbox, down in front of Mike Mosley's legs. They continue to work around the back of the car, but it looks like it's all over now for Mike Mosley, and once again, frustration so evident in his face as he bows his head in the cockpit, Paul.
How sad for Mike Mosley. Two 17th place finishes, a 14th place. This could have been his day, Bobby. Attrition is the story.
Paul, I feel sorry for Mike. I just couldn't tell you how much how much sorrow I have for the guy. The guy is so deserving. Look at him. Just look at him. You can't describe how bad he must feel.
Most of his career has been just this sort of frustration. Almost never his fault as Mike Mosley sits in his now still race car that was carrying him in the lead and on the way to victory. But now that has changed. This man is the leader, Gordon Johncock. He was one lap down, of course. He still faces a pit stop. And this should actually be a good situation for your brother Al, who has managed to move up into second place. Now, we point out that as the standings change, Mosley was so far out in front that he will still show in the standings for a little while. But Al is running behind Johncock in the race.
But Al really isn't handling good, and he hasn't handled good all day. He's had a lot of problems with the cars handling well. He's already had a flat tire. That was an extra, so he'll benefit from it, but I just don't think he's going to be a factor with Gordon.
There's Al as he goes by Tony Bettenhausen. Al in second place. He is one lap back. We'll get a clarification of whether or not that indicates that he is now on the same lap with Gordon Johncock, the leader. But certainly Al's car has not been running as smooth as it could through the day. The Penske team really having their problems here.
Well, they are. In fact, they've really had their problems. They had two fast cars, but Patrick had two fast cars. Rutherford's already gone, and obviously Mike Mosley had a fast car, and he's gone.
And the one thing that we feared, we now have the two Penske cars running right together on the race course. And look at that. You can't tell who's...
Who was who in the thing? Where Al was.
Take a guess. That should have been Rick Mears that just came past Al. Of course, Rick Mears is so far down that pass is almost inconsequential. It was indeed. Rick's car is trimmed in red.
There's Al Jr. right in the middle, incidentally.
Now what is with little Al Unser's son, who will celebrate his 21st birthday this Tuesday? What is he thinking?
Well, if he just gets this race in without breaking down, he's going to be so lucky. And I know Rick Gallis will be. The whole Gallis crew will be happy if they can just finish the race. He'll be out there.
Number 7, Al Unser. And he is now leader. The leader is Johncock. This race has been extremely confusing. Confusing not only to the drivers, but to the spectators as well, as the lead is constantly changed. But that makes for excitement, and that's certainly what we have seen here in the first race of the championship auto racing team season. We are watching Al Unser. He's your brother. He's a different driver than you. You're more of a charger. He's a little smoother.
When things are right, nobody's quicker than Al is, but the car has to be right. He's maybe a little bit smarter than most of the drivers because of that, Paul. He has very little what we call sheet time. Very little time in the hospital. A lot to do with that.
There's Gordon Johncock, a smooth, fast charger. Gordy has taken cars that were almost uncontrollable and set them on the pole in the past. He is an excellent racing driver, and he leads now. Comes around Howdy Holmes onto the main stretch. Gordy, despite a spin in the pits earlier, out in front. We'll look at the interval time now. And we're going to watch this time as we get an update from the scoring section, which indicates that they may have a rescore, a 10.2-second interval, but we'll watch for a rescore now on the Unser position.
Well, if Al's in the same lap with him, then Al's going to start really getting with it. That's the way he is. He sees that rabbit out there, he'll really chase it.
Let's go down to the pits. Mike Mosley is with Gary Jarrett.
Paul, I don't know. We expressed the frustration that I know was felt in the cockpit. Mike, it's something that you never get familiar with, but has there ever been a bigger disappointment when you seem to be so totally in command of a race and then have it suddenly go sour?
Well, it's always a disappointment. This is one of the biggest disappointments I've had. I thought we were very competitive, and I came in for the pit stop and I got stuck in high gear and we couldn't get it out, so that's the end of the day.
The race car seemed to be performing magnificently. Any indication of any problem up until that pit stop?
Well, no problem at all.
Well, it's a delight to see Mike Mosley back and competitive among the front runners. We look forward to big things for you and the Kraco team in 1983, Mike.
Thank you very much, Gary.
A dejected Mike Mosley, of course, Paul.
And here is Gordon Johncock. He is on the pit road, that flat section of the race course. He is the leader. Indications are he may be as far as 3 laps out in front, so he can now take his time as he comes for what should be his final pit stop. Gordon Johncock brings her in. The crew is ready. George Huning, the crew chief, right up at the right front wheel, signals Gordy exactly where to stop. Let's go to Bruce Jenner.
He's coming in. He's just going to be taking on fuel. No tires whatsoever. It's going to be a very quick pit stop. All they need is fuel. The car seems to be handling well. And Johncock is back into the race. And he's having a little bit of trouble getting out, trying to get the car going. George Huning, his crew chief, just took a blast of fire out of the exhaust right in the face, so he's a little bit concerned. But Gordon Johncock is back in the race.
Gordon Johncock comes back into the race and should have come back into the lead. Now, was that problem? Several cars have had trouble getting away, Bobby. Last year it was injectors. Is that maybe the same thing?
No, it isn't, Paul. I know the car very well because I did the testing on it. He's having a gear shift problem. It's not inside the transmission, it's in the gear shift leakage.
There's the second place car of Peter Halsmer. Now, what a marvelous run for this young man.
Pete has done more than an excellent job today. He should really probably get one of the best applauses today that's going to happen. He stayed out of trouble. He's really done pretty fast all day.
The car is a PC-10. It is one that Kevin Kogan had last year. They bought it from the Penske team, and they were all praised for how much help they got when they got the car on how to set it up.
He's a good chassis man. He's probably, of the younger drivers that are out there, he's probably one of the best chassis men that I know.
In some ways, he's a lot like you. I remember he brought me several texts on ground defects, laboratory tests, so that we could understand them. Here is the leader, Gordon Johncock. The car that you have tested, Bobby Unser, an excellent machine. Gordon Johncock is out in front. Peter Halsmer is second, and Al Unser is back in third. We'll be back with more of the Atlanta 200 right after this.
You're looking at a marvel of automotive design. Every part state-of-the-art. The powerful Pennzoil Penske Indycar. Roger Penske built it for reliability. It takes the skill of Rick Mears' Indycar champ to handle it. And when his engine's turning over 10,000 RPMs, he needs a motor oil engineered for reliability to stand the strain. Pennzoil motor oil for top engine protection, whatever you drive. Protection you can rely on. Pennzoil.
This is Paul Page stage. We're back at the Atlanta 200 in the closing laps now as Gordon Johncock is out in front. And scoring here has been a key problem in this race. It has, in fact, been the key problem of championship auto racing teams. They are now showing that Peter Halsmer is not in second place. They're telling us that Al Unser is in second place. Peter Halsmer is in third. There has also been a confusion about how far back they are. Al Unser is now being scored as we watch him in second place. Peter Halsmer is in third place, but now the laps back have changed. Al Unser is supposedly 1 lap behind the leader. Bobby, that's a constant change. That's several times now, more than 2. What's the problem?
They need some fixing there. They've needed it for a long time. They're trying a lot of different systems, the kart people are, to try to get their scoring straightened out, but sometimes the race is over and they're still trying to figure out who finished where. I'm sure that this will be just another system that didn't work, and they're just going to have to work a little harder on it, Paul.
Well, right now it makes it very difficult were it not for the fact that Gordon Johncock is so far out in front. As we watch Johncock come out of the screen and Peter Halsmer is right in the area, but again the indication is that Halsmer in the 66 car is 2 laps down.
Well, however many laps he is down, Pete Halsmer's been doing a good job all day. He's kept everything clean. His driving has been very good. Gordon is in real good shape, but you must remember right now, I'm sure that Jim McGee has got Gordon slowing down just a little bit. In other words, he should be only running about 45 inches of manifold pressure. If he's running any more, then it's the wrong thing to be doing.
We did not get a chance during the stop itself, but it appeared to me that Johncock came in and simply stopped long enough to put enough fuel to get to the end of the race. They didn't really fill the tank.
No, but the same token, they may not have had any more fuel in the tank, Paul, but he had trouble getting out, and that was meant that he couldn't get the car in gear. He probably couldn't get it in low gear, had to start in second gear.
What could have been a wonderfully fast stop was ruined when he had the problem coming out of the pits, but still, it had no effect on the lead. Here is Gordon Johncock, the SDP car number 20, and he is out in front. Here is second. Peter Halsmer is third, and right now, they're showing 2 laps back from the leader, John Paul Jr., his first race ever in one of these cars, and it's been a long time since he's been in an open-wheel car.
He's already wrecked 2 cars this year, and if that boy finishes 4th place, he's done a marvelous job.
It's going to be a happy day down in the John Paul pits. He's from right here in Georgia. There he is, that car number 12. Marvelous little driver. He started in open cockpit cars, Formula Fords, then went to the IMSA cars, the endurance cars. Now here he is back again.
In fact, I was going to get him to drive my Formula Ford for me one time.
Were you?
Quite a talented little boy.
And a nice fellow. Tall, though. 6'2".
Little boy, that's the wrong way to say it.
I was going to say.
I look at him that way because of his age.
6'2". Gordon Johncock, not nearly that height, but very powerful, strong in a race car.
Gordon won't get tired. You can't tire him out. He may be tired the next day, but he will not tire during the race. Very tough.
And tenacious, too. He's a bulldog. He never lets up. But despite the fact he is so far out in the lead, he continues the charge as he comes up and comes around. Looks like Mario Andretti. Indeed it is. Mario, the Lola, still apparently a very developmental car.
Well, it's having problems all day, and Mario is going to be tired when the day is over because he's worked hard.
Now, Gordon Johncock on the last back stretch. The white flag has been given as he comes down alongside Andretti. Doesn't want any part of it. He'll take it nice and easy. He is on his way to a checkered flag. The last lap. Gordon Johncock coming toward the checkered. Here he comes off the 4th turn now. Nick Bernaro has the checkered flag, and Gordon Johncock has won the first race of the season, the Atlanta 200. Here comes Al Unser. Now he should be charging as well for the checkered flag. Here's your brother. Nice ride despite all of his trouble.
We've got 2 Al Unsers that finished the race. Al Jr. just went by, and that made him finish his first race, and I think that's nice.
So with you slipping out, it didn't make any difference at all. The Unser name's still in there as Al finishes in second, 1 lap back. And Peter Halsmer slowing now. Peter Halsmer, did he see the checkered flag? Halsmer, slow, apparently did see the checkered flag as he came under.
That's what happened, Paul, because once the checkered flag falls, scoring quits, and they just score at the winner getting the checkered flag. But, of course, you have to cross the start-finish line.
Well, here is the man of the day. Let's go down to the Pat Patrick pits, where I'm sure the celebration has begun. Here is Bruce Jenner.
I'm with Pat Patrick right now, the car owner, and you had a disappointment earlier with Johnny Rutherford going out with one of your cars, but Gordon Johncock came through for you.
He sure did, and we're very happy, too.
It's a great way to start the season off.
It sure is. I like to end it the same way.
That's true. You certainly were awfully excited when he finally came across that finish line. Congratulations to your team on a fine performance.
Thank you very much.
Paul?
Pat Patrick, another victory for the Patrick Racing Team, and one well-deserved. They have been working very hard over the winter. Obviously, their work on the new Wildcat, a lot of it done by you, Bobby, has paid off.
Well, I've got a lot of test miles in that thing all over the winter, Paul, and I didn't have favorites today, but I'm very happy.
You think Pat's going to give you a little part of the purse?
No, I don't want any, but I think it's nice that they won. This is the car that I worked with the most.
Well, the day belongs to this man, Gordon Johncock. The car is a Wildcat. It's powered by a Cosworth as he makes his last left-hand turn of the day to the cheers of the... Last left-hand turn of the day to the cheers of the crowd as he rolls up into victory circle, the winner's circle here. Gordon Johncock, the winner of the Atlanta 200. Let's wait now as Gordy takes his helmet off. The Jim Hickman Trophy will be brought in here in memoriam for Jim Hickman, and driver. Wife Linda is in victory circle as well. Gordon Johncock, they unsnap the tether that holds his head upright. There's the Hickman Trophy. Al Unser came home in second. These are unofficial. Peter Halsmer third, John Paul Jr. fourth, and Mario Andretti in fifth place. Unofficial results of the Atlanta 200. And some question about the scoring. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Thank you, Paul. Down here, it's the usual mass scene of confusion and jubilation. The helmet comes off. The hat will go in place. Pat Patrick, George Huning, all down here. Congratulations being offered all the way around. Gordon Johncock gets a chance to wipe his brow and get a sip of a cold drink. It's certainly a well-deserved, but it has to be a surprising victory, Gordy, in view of what happened coming in there on that pit stop.
Well, yes, it did. I don't know if it was my mistake or what, but I might have got it in low gear, but it just wasn't shifting right, and I didn't have any clutch there even when I went out on the last pit stop, and we were just having problems, and we were just lucky to win it.
When you get into that situation and all you can do is sit there in frustration, hoping the crew can straighten you out, get it restarted, did you think there was any way in the world you could come back and win this race?
No, I didn't, but that goes to show you, you never want to quit. You always want to keep plugging away, just like last year. I know there's a couple times we quit, and if we hadn't have, if we'd have kept going, we'd have finished farther up in the points because we only lost by a couple. So, that goes to show you that you never want to quit.
You joined select company, Mears, Rutherford, Andretti, the only drivers ever to win here at Atlanta. Now you finally get your name in the books, and it's a great way to start a new season.
Well, yes, it is. We're really looking forward to this season. Car didn't really work quite as good as we thought it was, but as it worked out, But I'd like to thank all the sponsors, STP, Goodyear, Valvoline, my crew that's done a terrific job in putting the car together for me.
Well, Gordy, I know that Linda Hickman is going to be making a presentation of a beautiful cup over here in memory of Jim Hickman, who lost his life last year at Milwaukee. Linda's coming in with that cup in the presentation now. Linda, it's a beautiful gesture that you're making to a deserving race driver today.
Congratulations, Gordon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And so that's the story right here now for Gordon Johncock and his happy crew, Paul.
Gordon Johncock, his 25th victory. The STP number 20 wins the Atlanta 200, the first race of the season, but this was almost the end of his race as we watched him come in for a pit stop. This is earlier, of course. He locked his brakes up. Look, Bobby.
Well, what we just heard him say, Paul, was he was having gear shifting problems, like I guessed, and he stuck it probably into low gear while he was still trying to stop, and that's what caused the rear wheels to lock up and cause him to spin.
So Gordon Johncock stayed with it the whole time. This was the only serious accident of the day. It started when Bobby Rahal spun and Derek Daly spun as well. So the results here, Gordon Johncock wins. Congratulations to him. Bobby, thank you for a nice job this afternoon. Our thanks to Gary Gerald, as well as Bruce Jenner, and of course your fine input on this. Gordon Johncock, the winner of the Atlanta 200. Al Unser Sr., he comes in second. We have to say senior now. Peter Halsmer comes in third. John Paul Jr. comes in fourth, and Mario Andretti is fifth. Attrition, the real story of the day here. But Johncock obviously did their homework over the winter and has been able to move out in front. So Gordon Johncock, the winner here at the Atlanta 200. It should be an exciting season for cars.